Hello everyone, this is R.S. Miller at the endtimenews.org and today is November 8th, 2012. Turkey to ask NATO for Patriot missiles along Syria border. Turkey says it is planning to make an imminent official request to NATO for stationing Patriot missiles along the country's border with Syria. A Turkish foreign ministry official speaking on condition of anonymity told the press on Wednesday that the deployment of missiles is necessary to counter what Ankara perceives as potential military threats from Syria. Meanwhile, the Turkish daily Milliyet reported on Wednesday that Ankara and Washington have reached an agreement on imposing a no-fly zone along the Turkish border with Syria. According to the report, Turkey and the U.S. have also agreed to station Patriot missiles in the Turkish city of Kilis, near the border with Syria. The report added that the United States is set to provide security in the no-fly zones along the Turkey-Syria and the Jordan-Syria borders via the Patriot missiles. Tensions between Turkey and its southern neighbors soared in early October when shells coming from Syria landed in the Turkish border town of Akakale, killing 5 civilians. Syrian shells hit town in northern Israel. 3 mortar shells fired by Syrian forces landed near and in the Golan Heights community of Alone, Habashan earlier Thursday morning. 1 shell landed in a local neighborhood but caused no injuries or damage. Officials said they believe the shells were misfired from a battle between Syrian government and rebel forces just over the border. But the frequency of cross-border attacks lately and the growing accuracy suggests the Syrians may be purposely targeting Israel. Earlier this week, an Israeli army patrol jeep came under fire from the Syrian side of the border, and last week 3 Syrian tanks briefly entered Israel. Israeli forces in the north of the country were placed on high alert following the border breach, and Israeli Army Chief Lieutenant Benny Gantz warned that the Syrian affair could turn into our affair. The IDF division stationed in the northern Golan is ready for any movement in which the shooting will change direction and will be turned on us, an Israeli army spokesman was quoted as saying by the Jerusalem Post. Israel remains concerned that either side in the Syrian conflict could at any time try to draw Israel into the fighting for its own political and military gain. But should that happen, there is little doubt Lebanon's Hezbollah terrorist militia would enter the fray and launch its missile arsenal at northern Israel. A 7.4 earthquake has claimed at least 48 lives in Guatemala. At least 48 people have been killed and hundreds remain missing after a powerful earthquake struck off the Pacific coast of Guatemala. About 125,000 people were without power as a result of the quake. The 7.4 magnitude earthquake centered about 160 kilometers southwest of Guatemala City. It was the strongest quake to hit the country since the deadly 1976 quake that killed 23,000. The death toll is feared to rise as survivors report widespread landslides and people trapped under the rubble. The U.S. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said there was a possibility of a local tsunami within 320 kilometers of the epicenter. Local radio reports widespread power outages and cuts in telephone service. The mountain village of San Marcos, 130 kilometers from the epicenter, has suffered extensive damage with some 30 homes destroyed. More than 2,000 soldiers have been sent to help with the relief effort. Guatemalan President Otto Perez Molina has asked people not to travel on motorways as several highways in the west of the country have been cut off by landslides. Rioting and chaos in Athens, Greece. Greece is in for a new round of austerity as protests rage. A new Greek austerity package has passed with the majority of votes in favor. The vote came as thousands gathered in Athens to protest the new round of cuts. Clashes flared up as police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowd. 153 parliamentarians voted in favor of the new cuts, which the Troika demanded in exchange for a new round of EU bailout funds. Earlier on Wednesday, thousands of people gathered in front of the Parliament building to protest against new cuts to the country's budget. Demonstrators threw Molotov cocktails at security forces. At least 100 people have been arrested in Athens following the protests. A bus stop and kiosk were set on fire, according to RT correspondent Peter Oliver, who was at the scene. A deluge of water was used to douse the flames. At least 100,000 protesters are estimated to be gathered in front of the Parliament building. Protesters are fighting a running battle. It's an Athens urban war zone. I can barely see, Oliver said. There are huge flashbangs near Syntagma Square. Protesters are chanting for bread and freedom. They're accusing Greece of being a dictatorship, he continued. The clashes came ahead of a parliament vote on new austerity measures demanded by the EU in exchange for further bailout funds. Brussels demands a new draft of budget cuts in order for Greece to qualify for another loan, totaling more than 31 billion euro from the Troika, which consists of European Commission, the European Central Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. Additionally, the measures stipulate a 2-year increase in the Greek retirement age to 67 and several tax hikes. The new package also includes provisions making it easier to fire civil servants. And with Greece already experiencing unemployment as high as 25%, this does not sit well with public workers.